Today is a good day because Bendis is finally gone from DC Comics. He's left. He wrote his final issue, which was the final issue of the Justice League versus Legion of Superheroes miniseries. Now he's gone. I thank God. If you've been around the channel for any amount of time, you know that I hate what Bendis has done with DC. So I figured now would be a good time. Let's talk about his lasting legacy at DC, what he did when he first joined, some of the worst things, if he did anything good. So let's talk about that. And of course, I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. What do you think of Bendis's time at DC now that it's, thank God, thankfully it's over? So in 2018, he joined DC. He was coming off a horrible stint at Marvel. He had written some great things back in the day, but a long time ago. He's way past his prime. This was essentially like Emmitt Smith going from the Cowboys to the Cardinals, where it's like, yeah, Emmitt Smith was great once, but he's not anymore. You're not getting that same guy. And DC, for some reason, was like, yeah, Bendis is still going to be great. So they gave him a ton of money, and we're so happy to have him. But he hadn't written anything good in a while at Marvel. He had written stuff good a long time ago, but that was a long time ago. He comes over to DC, he writes a Man of Steel miniseries, which, I'll be honest, at first was okay. And also when Bendis came over, I tried to be optimistic because so many people are like, he's going to do horrible, especially Marvel fans were like, have fun with that guy. And I was like, maybe he just got bored. He's been operating with the same toy box forever. Maybe he got bored. Maybe he'll be rejuvenated at DC. I tried to be optimistic. And the first couple issues of the Man of Steel miniseries were okay, and then it ended horribly. He introduced this new villain called Ragazar. This guy just beats Superman's ass, and you're like, oh man, how's Superman going to deal with this guy? Oh, he doesn't deal with him. He still gets his ass beat, and then Supergirl puts Ragazar in the Phantom Zone at the end of the miniseries. Horrible ending. And then we go into a Superman Action Comics run. I don't want to get too much into that. I already made a whole video on that a while ago. Well, on the Superman run, not much on Action Comics. Which you can check out. I'll have it linked in the outro. Anyways, let's talk, and I might have it linked here. But anyways, let's talk about what are the 3 worst things Bendis did, and then I'll try to talk about something positive that Bendis did, because there's one thing that I say he did good at DC. Most of it was bad, but there were a few good things. So let's not just talk about. Okay, so the 3 worst things he did. Number 1, aging up John Kent. Horrible idea. The reason he did it was the worst. The reason he did it was because he wanted to have John join the Legion of Superheroes and be able to be friends with them and have a romance with Saturn Girl. That was the whole reason he did it. Because if John was still like 10 or 11 years old and joined the Legion of Superheroes, it'd be weird to see him hanging out with the older kids, and to him have a romance wouldn't work. So he's like, how do I solve this? Age him up. And that ruined so many potential stories with John. It ruined the relationship between him and Damian. It changed the dynamic between him and his parents, because now he's no longer learning from Clark and Lois. He comes back, he's older, he knows everything now. He doesn't really need them that much anymore. It's horribly done. It ruined one of the best characters. I will say John's probably the best new character that DC has introduced in like the past decade. I would say that. He was at that time. What Dan Jurgens and Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason had done with him was fantastic. And then Bendis ruined him. Bendis ruined the best new character. And you guys know how hard it is to get new characters into DC or Marvel, for people to like them and accept them. To give Superman a son and people to like it, that's no easy task. But people loved it. And also it's really cool because Superman's a character that's been around since 1938, and you add something new. You add a new element, a new dynamic. John completely changed things. It made things fresh. It was like, oh cool, this character that's been around since the 30s is still changing and evolving. There's interesting stories happening, things we haven't really seen before. And then Bendis is like, nah, I don't want that. Get him out of here. Send him to the future, to the Legion of Superheroes. So that's the worst thing he did. Next, there are 2 other things are really horrible. He did a lot of horrible things. But the 2 other things, one of the other things is what he did to Jor-El. So during Rebirth, this guy came in called Mr. Oz, which turned out later was Jor-El. Jor-El had been plucked out of the timeline when Krypton was exploding by Dr. Manhattan, because Doomsday Clock was happening and all that, and Dr. Manhattan was messing with the DC Universe, and one of the things that he did was he plucked Jor-El out. Again, if you want to know what all that happened with Jor-El, I explain that in my video more in depth, which I'll have linked in the outro. But I'll give you a more summarized version here. Essentially, he got plucked out, he got messed with. Dr. Manhattan put him to where he saw humans doing a lot of evil things. So it skewed Jor-El's, like, how he saw Earth, and he also gave him this thing that basically turned him more evil. So Jor-El had gone through a lot. We had the Oz Effect storyline, which was a storyline that went between Action Comics and Superman back when Dan Jurgens and Tomasi and Gleason were writing it. Really good storyline. At the end, Superman is able to help his father Jor-El see the light and actually, like, you know, not be an evil guy. And then Dr. Manhattan snatches him back. And it's like, oh man, what's gonna happen to Jor-El? He was just a bad guy. Clark finally reached through to his biological father, and then he gets snatched by Dr. Manhattan. What's gonna happen next? See, Bendis didn't read that, didn't care, heard, oh, Jor-El's back, brings him back as if none of that ever happened, and had him take John on a space trip, and that space trip resulted in John getting aged up. So a really interesting element of having Jor-El back and Dr. Manhattan using him and manipulating him and seeing what was going to happen got ruined by Bendis. We don't know what the plan was. We don't know what Jeff Johns was going to do with him, or if Dan Jurgens or something was going to do with him. We don't know. Because Bendis ruined him. He brought Jor-El back, he had him take John on a trip that had him aged up, and then he had Jor-El sent back in time to when Krypton exploded to have him murdered. That's literally what happened. And then the third thing he did was he ruined Clark Kent. He quite literally got rid of Clark Kent. So prior to outing Superman as Clark Kent, he made Clark a cuck in the eye of the public because he had everyone see that Lois Lane, who is married to Clark Kent, very publicly married to Clark Kent, the whole world knows this because they're high-profile reporters, the whole world saw her making out with Superman after she'd been married to Clark for a while, and it was very big news, and a lot of people saw it like out in the public, and there were other things where Clark was just a big old cuck loser. And after that, Superman then revealed that he is Clark Kent to the entire world, and that got rid of Clark Kent. Clark Kent's not really a character anymore. We don't have him. We don't have the whole Daily Planet dynamic. It's over. Bendis also rehashed a storyline we had in the New 52/DCU, where it's called Superman Truth, and Bendis literally called his Superman Truth, which is where Superman reveals he's Clark Kent. So twice in like the span of like 6 years, we got the same storyline, or not 6 years. Or maybe it was 6 years. Like DCU happened maybe in like 2013, 2014. I don't remember. It's been so long. But yeah. So he rehashed a storyline, made it worse somehow when it was already bad, and got rid of Clark Kent, who's obviously a pivotal element of Superman. So those are the three huge, horrible things he did. He did more bad things, like making Lois not care about her family at all and only career focus, which is really weird. She's already a very accomplished reporter, and she's very competent. She's always been able to balance the like work-life balance, but here she didn't care about Clark, she didn't care about John, she just wanted to write her book. That's all she cared about, and she felt very cold, and it was really weird. He was horrible at writing Lois. He wrote at a snail's pace. All his storylines took like 20 issues to unfold, and then nothing happened at the end of them. It was really bad. Now that I've gone on my rant about the negatives, let's talk about the one good thing that I think Bendis did. And the one good thing I'll say is Batman Universe. He did this like I believe it was an Elseworlds like Batman story. I've only read a couple issues. I haven't read all of it, but from what I read, it was actually really fun and really good, which is weird because everything else I've read of Bendis was horrible. Like the Leviathan storyline he did was horrible. Everything he did with Superman was horrible. His Legion of Superhero stuff was terrible. But Batman Universe, which is where Batman went on this like globe-trotting adventure, was actually really good. I don't know how he did it, but I guess it's that whole, you know, a broken clock is right twice a day sort of thing. That's what happened with Bendis. He wrote one good title while at DC. He wrote several titles, and only one turned out good, and that was Batman Universe. So, yeah, I wanted to make a video on this because I've been very vested in what Bendis has done at DC, very upset with what he has done at DC. It's been a while since we've had a run on a character that bad, and he's ruined so many things. But thankfully, things aren't as bad now as they were. As much as he did a lot of horrible damage, and none of it's really been reversed, at least things are decent now. Like, Action Comics is really good. And if you want to know what happened during Bendis's run, like I said earlier, I did a video going very in-depth with it, which I'll have linked in the outro. And I also, if you want to know what happened right after Bendis's run, I did a video recapping all of that as well, which I'll have linked in the outro as well. So check those videos out if you want to know more, and let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Bendis' time at DC? I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later.
Hey, skinny boy, saucy boy, I be running to the bank. Yeah, you know I hit the gas in the whip full tank. Riding past the ocean while I'm listening to Frank.